Dobro večer svima. Ja sam Svetlana Patafta, glumica i umjetnička voditeljica Teatra Puno kuće. Dobrodošli u Small Sizes Big Lessons razgovore koje Puno kuće organizira i koje vodimo s umjetnicima iz cijelog svijeta koji se bave kazalištem za djecu i mlade. Hello everybody, I'm Svetlana Patafta, actress and artistic director of Theatre Puno kuće. Welcome to Small Sizes Big Lessons conversations. I'm so sorry we didn't go live tonight because Facebook didn't allow us to do it. So the great thing is that the conversation was recorded, so you will have a chance to enjoy in it. And now I will just make an introduction and introduce my tonight's guests. I was very excited to welcome them into our Zoom room, Zoom house. So my dear colleagues, Bebe de Soares, a choreographer, actress, director and producer, founder of Amazonas Network, a platform for international exchange and cooperation. We will talk about it later, of course. She is also the member of the main board of ACITEJ, the International Association of Theatres for Children and Young People, as well as the member of the main board of IPAY, International Performing Arts for Youth in the United States. And my second guest is Cristina Cazzola, playwright, actress and producer, founder and artistic director of Seni New Generations Festival in Mantova, and also creator and coordinator of Reazione a Catena Chain Reaction Network, which gathers festivals and has the aim to improve the visibility of Italian festivals in the international context. So enjoy our conversation. I hope we will inspire you for some new ideas. And my first question for Bebe was that it would be great to hear how the sector of performing arts for young audiences is organized and how it functions in Latin America, especially in Chile and Brazil, where she works. Enjoy the conversation and see you next time, I hope, live.
The more industrialized part of the country, but by no means there is only children's theater and professionals working only in the south. We have in São Paulo a cooperativa, which is the groups get together under one juristic form, which is very useful. So you have an enormous number of independent groups because you don't have to have a juristic form. You are under the cooperative. And this, they are very active politically. Also, the funds that you have for this kind of work, it's completely different from the rest of Brazil. In the rest of Brazil, there are some states who have more funding. Of course, the work depends on the funding that there is there. There are some sponsors, but it's very irregular. In Chile, you have, of course, it's a country with much less population than Brazil. It's 18 million in total. Brazil is 230 million. So, of course, but there is an organization in terms of funding for projects, for traveling, for producing, that is very much similar to what we have here in Europe. So this also changes completely the way you do theater there. But in this moment, all this support is not there. So artists are in precarity, like you could imagine independent artists here in Europe. It's very difficult.
And do they have any support from the states?
Practically no, none. There was, in Chile, for instance, they call for artists, but it's like competing to get help. You know, they did an open call, and there are some initiatives like this in Brazil too, much too little, and also it's not fair to make artists compete among themselves to get a basic help. But this is also the, the, the concept that the state is there to provide services to the population, also for cultural services, is very little in South America. Yeah.
Yes, it's the same in Croatia as well, because we had to compete to get some help,
Yes.
support for us during this crisis, and it is really humiliating when you fight for basic support and for basic conditions for life.
Yeah,
So,
and just one thing that I want to mention that I cannot not mention is the political situation in Brazil, which is dramatic, the lack of leadership. And if I'm sure my friends and colleagues in Chile will agree that the situation in Chile is not that better than in Brazil. There is a very conservative government that governs for the elite, and most of the population in Chile is also feeling lack of support. So it's like dramatic, the political situation in both countries.
yes, and have you got any insight of which countries Latin America is the best position considering the rights of artists? Can you make that kind of statement, maybe?
I would say in Chile, you have a Ministry of the Cultures that has been structured with a broader together with a broader part of the professionals, art professionals, in the last 10 years, 12 years. So it is something. I'm not sure in Argentina exactly how it is, but it's something that in Brazil is unheard of. So I would between Chile and Argentina and Brazil, definitely Chile has a framework, yes, of funding research, funding touring, funding. Of course, it's not enough. It's never enough, especially for TYA, but
Yes.
it's a completely different situation.
And Christina, what are your experiences as artist, as festival, as company? What kind of problems do you face now at this situation, considering functioning, financing at this moment? Do you work?
Okay. So first of all, I will say something about the general frame of what is happening in Italy about the role, position of art and mostly of theater. That is just compared with what Bebe was saying. In Italy, we just to make you an example, within Assitech Italy, we are 100 members, but we can say that there are more or less about 500 groups or companies that are kind of under the surface, not officially professional or professional, but not well known or just surviving differently. So there is really a big biodiversity of structures that can be big theater, because we have a few big theater that are, for example, dedicated to theater for young audience, or small companies with two artists that are surviving only because of the ticket selling of performance that they maybe do inside schools or on the road. So you have the two. It's an angle really wide open to biodiversity. We have state financing. We have different levels of financial possibility, like from the public funding. So it depends. It's the state, the region, the department, the city, and you can maybe add and have a kind of a puzzle of all this financing. But in the last 10 years, we have been taught to be able to survive without only the state funding. So that it have been a big crisis and a big transformation. Even speaking about that, because I think that we are living another big transformation. So this is where to look at to find the solutions or models. Now we have been learning to survive even with a small part of private funding or bank foundation, and the ticket selling is still one important part. That makes that if you are funded by this public funding, your ticket selling support is less needed, so you can survive even without ticket selling. But there are also structures like, for example, my festival. I direct this festival that I created 15 years ago, that is Segni New Generation Festival, that I lead with a private association that is funded by public money, 30%, private and bank funders, 30%, and 35, 36, let's say even 40 from ticket selling. So what happens now? We have been closed, theater have been closed the 24th of February. And they will open again the 15th of June. But the big problem of June, what have been happening during all this lockdown time is that we have been struggling together between us, speaking together and trying to have a dialogue with institutions to underline the fact that without the audience, we are not sustainable. Our sustainability is really in danger. What we have learned is that institutions really don't know anything about how we function. So that was one of the biggest bad news, because they were not even aware of all the need that we have in the chain of the productive and the production, yes, and how this can impact the market and yes, of our sector and the sustainability. So at the moment, they have been doing a kind of a raindrop support to support even the smallest association that were like a kind of 10 days of professional activities in the year. So they will receive a small fee that can be up to 2,000 euro. That means yep, nothing for the survival. That means a lot of money anyway that are not given with a thought or a strategy. So this is how it is now. We are speaking one each other to understand how to reopen, how to face all the challenges connected with the social distancing. So it's
not easy, but it's better to talk about than not to do anything.
Yeah. We are spending, I think, and I hope fruitfully, a lot of time in trying to find new solutions. And one thing that I have been listening today is that we need to create in every transformation, we need to create new pattern, because we need to go against the feeling or the wish to go back to old models and old patterns that will never function anymore. So yes, we are trying to fight against the old patterns, because these are not sustainable anymore.
We can't use, yes, they're not sustainable.
But we still really don't have the new picture and the new patterns, because just to close my overview, compared with other countries, for example, in Europe, if you think to France, that is the avant-garde, they have a lot of supporting a lot of support. The role of artists in society is well recognized. Think that is not the case in Italy, and I will say even the place of children and childhood in society is reflecting how much our government and our institutions are thinking about our sector,
ready to give us, yes,
the fact that the policy are not respecting the practical life of art.
So you made a very clear survey of how it functions almost everywhere, And those exceptions are great examples, but there are few of them. So what do you think, Bebe, because you live in Germany, is Germany, does German government respect artists? Because we very often in Croatia use examples from a German system and models of communications with arts sector.
Yeah, yesterday the government, the coalition in the government announced eine Milliarden is 1 billion euros for the cultural sector. Germany has a unique landscape, cultural landscape, especially theaters. And with ensembles that work inside the theater, I don't have the number, but the subvention of each seat in each theater in German is sensational every day of the week. So what happened is, it is terrible to see this, but artists that are independent, they are in the same precarity as the independent artists in Latin America. They have, now it's like there is money for instance, if you're a small entrepreneur in any field, also in culture, you have help from the states from March to pay for your running costs. For instance, if you rent a space to work or to rehearse or something, for this there is help. But an artist, like a musician, that works at home, that rehearses the whole day, that maybe he was fully booked for the whole year, and now he has nothing. Nothing. The only way for this person to get help is to go to the social security, the Grundversicherung, which is something that nobody wants to go to this. You know, it is really very shocking for me to see that even in a society that has so many funds and so many funds for art, and then, you know, on the other hand, of course, the theaters that are stable theaters they are receiving funds, and they are opening now in June, of course, with all the new
regulations.
But for the individual independent artists, which is TYA, great number, and in Germany, the free theater, freie Theatergruppen, the independent groups are the richness of the innovation in art here. They are left in the rain outside. Yes.
Yes, it's very interesting how independent sector is so creative and gives so much to the society.
Yes.
And when you come to the crisis, then you see that every time is the same. Independent sector faces always challenges, but I think that the good thing is in this moment, I think, is that we are really connecting more than before. And I'm very enthusiastic about all sorts of networking and the dialogue that always gives us some new perspectives. So
yes, it's true. This is also uniting the whole category.
Yes.
I mean, it is in our faces. Now we must do something about it. So that's very good.
Yeah. So now we will be proactive. Okay, so now people can see how it functions somewhere else. It's almost similar, the same. So let's talk about your great work. Two of you are very, you have a mutual characteristic, in my opinion. We don't know each other very well, but what I saw in all those meetings we having these days is that you are both passionate, very passionate about your work, and that is great. So Bebe, you are a founder of Amazonas Network. It's a very interesting platform that gathers international and intercultural connections, cooperations, and please tell us something more about it, about its history. How did you come to an idea to make something like that? And what are the organizations, I don't know, theater and festivals that are included in it?
So I was a dancer, and I started to do theater in Germany in 91. I married here, and then I moved to Brazil in 2000. And I had been a dancer in Brazil. I knew nothing about theater. So it was, for me, it was what came, I came from Germany, and I did Dutch theater mostly under the director Arno Kleinhoffen. And I wanted to talk to people about, wow, this children's theater that exists in Europe is so fabulous. You can talk about death, you can talk about taboos, and you have fantastic artists writing plays and directing. And I didn't know anybody. And so I really connected to Acitege Brazil, and it was in Rio. And I tried to do like a Acitege in São Paulo, but like a regional. And this way, I started to do international connections in 2004, because the Congress was in Canada of Acitege, the World Congress. And since then, I moved back to Germany. I started to understand how the market works internationally. So Paideia, the founding of Paideia's festival, I was there with them. It's a festival in São Paulo. Many people know Aglaia Push is the director. And I was understanding how the Arts Council work here, the mobility funds that exist to bring companies to Brazil. So this was one phase. It started Amazonas Network, bringing companies from Canada, from Denmark, from Holland to Brazil. When in 2015, I was already living in Chile, I was invited to talk about this that I did in iPay. I didn't know what iPay was. I had no idea. And iPay is a marketplace. You bring shows to sell. And Boomer Stacy, who's the executive director, told me, why don't you bring companies from Latin America? So this was 2015. So I looked for a company in Chile, we applied, we got selected, and then I really took this role of looking for the place for the Latin American voice in the world. So I really, in my head also, I changed completely my position. So that's where I am now. So I work with companies still from Europe, from Germany, from Italy, but I see my main task now is really the diversity. Everybody talks about diversity. I make sure that there will be companies from every continent, also from Africa, not only from Latin America, from Asia. So this is the main. And the companies that I work, for instance, from Holland, Plan D, Andreas Denk, and Teatro Telaio from Italy. We started the collaboration now, but from Brazil, dance company, Companhia Urbana de Dança, and Projeto Gompa. If you go to my webpage, you see there.
Yes, I saw that also small size members are the part of the network.
Yes,
that's great. Madame Bach and Teatro Alvaccio. That's great.
Yes. So that's my main motivation is to make these connections. And in this time, I'm very worried about the international being forgotten. So I make sure I'm everywhere talking about this. Yeah.
Of course, that's why we are talking about international work, because it is very important for every company, because it gives her chance to improve its work and to
also the financial possibilities when you tour, yes, are very important.
That's very important, of course. And on the other part of the world, in Italy, we have a great example of one network of festivals. It is called Reazione a Catena, in English, Chain Reaction Network, which aims to improve the visibility of Italian festivals in the international context. Cristina, you are again somebody who is starting, I think, thinking about it in the beginning, and you're a creator of it, founder. So tell us, what are the results of this kind of networking in the national context towards international one?
Unmute.
I will tell you the story of how the festival, the Chain Reaction project was born. Because I think that this can tell something about processes and about how in Italy think and in every country thing can happen. I started my festival 15 years ago, and it was an international festival in the sense that we were hosting, I was selecting only international artists to be programmed, because in Italy there were not that many opportunity for international artists to be seen, and the level of proposal of national artists, Italian artists, from my point of view, needed to have new impulse and to have new inspirations. So this is why my festival was born. But since it was proposing artists that were only inspiring artists, it was not connected with the market system of the Italian cultural theater system. So I thought that I need to create a connection, and I started to welcome also Italian artists, but I felt that between festival there was not enough dialogue. So led by my passion, curiosity, I started to have a dialogue. My interest is in international project, because I think that this is international dialogue has an added value, because we can gather new models and everything. If you are here, you understand it very well. So I will not tell you about that. So I started a dialogue with the festival, and we started to make a kind of mapping of ourselves. And during this mapping, we were 13 festivals, and we started to understand that we had a common point of view. And I was somehow the one that has the competence about international relations. Then I found out that there was a small funding for internationalization. And so I asked my partners to create that process together, because I thought my idea was that festivals are a kind of tool that can improve our competencies sector, and in the cultural system, festival has an important role. So if we don't speak together, if we don't put us together, we can't impact positively or with a sort of awareness of our role in our sector.
Sorry for interrupting. I just want to ask you what were the points that you were focused on in that network? What is interesting, because it's very, very unique to have so many national theaters focused on international presentation of country. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I will say that the common point was really international need. I mean, a need of confrontation, and a need to be seen or to exchange with the international panorama. But my colleagues were not so much, it's not a matter of competence. They didn't develop this kind of relation. So when I said to this network of festival that it was an informal network, so we were having like some coffee session between festival during all the festival, and we realized that in the timeline of the year there was a festival, maybe more than one each month. But to give outside a picture about Italy, that was most impressive than going me, Christina, with my festival
Yeah.
outside telling, oh, this is my famous international festival. And that was not interesting for me. So we decided to make a wider picture and to say, this is the festival panorama, Italian brand, and to go abroad and spread it. We did something that is really easy to do, but not that easy, because we decided to be together and to avoid our differences. And we it's yeah, so the international was the common point. I tried to gather and to put together the group on the international interests, because I know very well that international relation and international process has one thing that is really interesting. That is that when you go abroad, you feel that you are going out of the small field dynamic. I mean, you don't feel that I'm eating your piece of cake. I can say that way. You go together outside, so you are together because you are more fragile and you can be together in your fragility. When the lockdown came, we had started to go abroad with a visiting logic. So we were going to visit other festivals together, and we were, like, I was making like kind of leading the other, like we call it like the holiday group of the festival, visiting festival, because as you know, when you go in an international festival, the first time you understand nothing, because to go abroad is not a matter of language, it's not a matter of going to see a show, it's a matter of understanding the cultural environment in which you are getting in. And sometimes it's not that easy. If you have someone who knows something, you can share that. So we were feeling our fragility. We were feeling we cannot travel anymore.
Yep.
And the process had been starting. So we decided to have those meetings and doing online what we were doing with the visiting. Just to finish that, the fact is that this brought us a new relation between each other.
That's what I want to say. It's really fantastic to have an opportunity. Every artist can have opportunity to be part of those meetings, and that is really very generous of you all in Italy. And me as an artist, I really started to think more deeply about those national connections, because we all need more connection. I mean, this is the time when we realize it, and this is great that there are places, virtual places where we can meet. And this conversation is also the result of our meetings. I mean, we met on several meetings, and this is great, really chance for everybody who wants to.
We feel like we know each other.
Yeah, it's really great. Yes, and I know that some of people who are watching us, our colleagues, are also in this field, and saying hello to everybody. Thank you for supporting. Each step is very important for everybody in this big fight for our rights, because theater, and I mean performing arts for young audiences, is not the sector in normal conditions that have priority in the society, and we fight all the time for our position in the society. And now festivals, as you say, Christina, they now have opportunity to make new roles in cultural life. So Bebe and you are very active in this international life, cultural life. So can we make some kind of the most important points of what festivals now can also mean to our position in the cultural setting, and also for our audience? I think that now roles are changing, and we can take more roles than we had before. And please give me some examples of good practices at this moment. Bebe, you're smiling.
Svetlana, I'm smiling here because that's a question.
We have to give some, we have to give some
Yes.
inspiration
Yes.
for our...
So just to move on from the points that you just spoke and Christina spoke, I think the reason why we are in a network is to circulate the information. This is the main reason. So the moment that somebody in one country, like you, for instance, you are in Croatia, and now you are doing this live streaming, talking to different people internationally. You are giving access to information. Yes. The information is circulating, not only in Croatia, but internationally, yes, and in the world. And this is one lesson that I'm sure everybody has learned. Even somebody like the ACITEJ International is ACITEJ International. We have, I don't know, 80 countries and everybody is in the national centers. We never expected the attendance that we had in the coffee sessions, which are the regional coffee sessions. So we in ACITEJ, we said, okay, we need to give a space for people to talk and to meet and to know what's going on. And even to us, that we are used to having a connection worldwide, people that never could be in the room, people yes, that couldn't travel. So like Latin American representation in the congresses, in the artistic encounters, yes, is always very small because the money to travel is really something that is never there. But now they are there, they are at the table, they can talk, we can listen to their voices, and this is wonderful. So this is something I think it has changed everything. We now are listening, and this, the parallels to what's happening in the States, the diversity, the equity, all this is going to change completely. I am sure we are going to see a complete different organization of the international festivals. And it should be like this. Otherwise, we can never go back. And to have an idea, that for coincidence, me and Christina, we were in the same place in the Crocus Festival, okay, in 24th of February. She was telling everybody about the chain reaction, which this was very new, with the new Renzo from Castel Fiorentino, new Italian directors of festivals we had never seen before in person. And I was going on with the Latin America connection with Crocus Festival. There were artists from Chile, artists from Brazil, and we were a conversation that is going on. And then in the middle of the conversation, we heard the news that in Italy, Bologna had to cancel. And it was like, and now when I see the level of connectivity that I have, we are opening now to North America. We're going to open to Latin America, the chain reaction. I mean, it's an idea. I'm already opening. Yes. We never expected something like this. So in a way, I think it will change everything. Also the digitalization, participation via digital yes, channels of festivals and of showcase. Definitely. Because this will be enormous.
Yes, and I think that this present striving for new strategies and new models of communication will influence also our audience in a good way. We will have more ideas about how to develop a relationship with them.
And also the digitalization and how artists are thinking, or they should be thinking about how to use the tool. Yes. Even we can say, of course, theater is the encounter, we need the audience, but this is a chance also to have this offline and online yes, partnership. So yes, it's not just the 80 children in front of you. Maybe there are children in other places that will connect. So this will have a huge impact in the audiences too.
Yes, definitely. Christina, you are very serious at this moment. I think yes, you are now thinking about new ideas.
I'm not going to be the one enlightening your life, but I do agree with what Bebe said. You have seen me so serious because I don't have an idea or a solution. I can't see the picture yet, but I'm sure, me too, that there will be transformation. And I think the most important transformation that we are facing is that we will start to think our work in a different way, connected with this digital or not digital environment, because one thing that I learned and that I am happy to share is not from me, is a philosopher that wrote it, is that we will start to think about us on life. That means that we are always between online and offline, because even when we are watching a show, we are in our imagination, as same that when we read a book. And this different level of connection that we are living, this kind of connection. Now for me, you are like a postcard, and I have never seen you. So you are in my life as a postcard at present. Then maybe you will be as a person, and you will be as a person I can share a glass of wine together with, or another experience. But if we start embedding our reflection with that, the fact that we are on life altogether, this will change. And one thing that we learn also, the other, let's say, step on which we will build our new future, our new normal, is this kind of generosity of the connection, because we have been stolen of everything. I mean, for us, I really think that we are the sector that was losing the most.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No one have been speaking about that. But in our case, it's the essential, it's a kind of ontological problem we are going to solve. This have been touching the sustainability, and that makes one kind of important chain reaction effect. That is that since no one is paid, we will share.
No one is
paid. No one is paid. In this time, for example, no one is paid. In these 3 months, no one was paid, but we have been sharing contents on the web, and people cannot go out and buy a t-shirt or a pizza, but they were feeling that they had needs, and we were feeling these needs.
Yes.
And with our content. So this may absolutely, it needs to be something that makes a change.
Yes, and when you talk about generosity in the relationship among artists, and I would say among between artists and the audience, we don't have so much.
I would love to add one word, because I forgot this, but this is a keyword that is really important. That is the fact that I guess, and I hope we will start to create new alliances.
That's what I wanted to ask you about alliances. Yes. We are thinking in the same way, same direction. I just want to point out that generosity in the relationship is something that we now have as our great tool to rebuild and to continue our communication with our audience. So when we talk about alliances that we have in the society, of course, we should talk about educational institutions and schools and kindergartens. Our audience is there. Our audience, young audience, has its how would I say, who are they? They're part of them are their parents, and they teachers, educators. So now I think that we have a great opportunity to really be with them in an alliance of helping each other to find new models of communication and to find new ways of making or programming. I think that this is very important to present ourselves to schools and kindergartens as assistants in making program for the whole year that will come. Not just being their guests, for example, or they are being our guests in the theater, but try to survive this strange space of danger of disconnect, yeah, for some time, to try to survive that in better and stronger relationship to each other.
Svetlana, I have a good practical example to
Okay.
tell you.
Yes.
Because I'm married to a school teacher, so I have secret information in my own house here about schools the whole time. So it is really, you can imagine, with the hygienic conditions, that you cannot have the whole group in the school. Even from September, we are talking here, and I think it's everywhere. We were going to have to divide the groups. How there are not enough teachers, there are not enough rooms, and this is really something. My husband looked at me one day and he said, "You know, I have something that you could do, because the other half that is not in school, they could be in the theater." And this, it's very funny because it's the synchronicity. The next day in Facebook, there was somebody in Ireland talking about this, and in the UK,
Cleona Nuna,
yes,
yeah, I know, yes,
that
yes.
The spaces, cultural spaces that are empty, like museums, cultural centers, theaters, and we, the artists, the TYA artists, we are uniquely equipped to take care of the children that cannot be in school just because it's impossible to have all the children all the time in school. And this is a unique chance in time for us to establish ourselves as partners, but really partners. And we have to think, what do children need now? I just read for the first time, somebody did a research in Germany to ask, what do the children say about the pandemic and about isolation? It is the first time. I just read in a Berliner Zeitung. And children will need the arts to work out what happened now. I cannot even imagine in regions like in the north of Italy, how many children have lost their grandparents. To be 3 months everywhere in the world, 3 months inside an apartment without playing with other children, without having this peer contact, without going out in Spain, in Paris, in France, you couldn't go out with the children. So this is traumatic. And we have to take children seriously and their existential problems that they will have now. So I am totally for the giving hands to the teachers, to the parents as artists, and create art for this moment now that the children will need.
Yes, great. Yes, we have to ask them what they need, and also to ask teachers and parents what they need, and that is the real dialogue that we can make then.
Yes.
It's very important, yes. And you, Christina, would you like to add something to it?
No, not that much. I mean, I totally agree with Bebe.
Yes, you agree.
What I can say is that in the old world, we are thinking and facing in the same way, because also in Italy, they're speaking about splitting the classes and using theaters and museum as empty space where to go in. One thing that frightened me is the fact that we still don't have enough dialogue. I mean, theater and museum are not empty space, are space in which there was a life before. So how to connect and how to create a relation, this is the big question, and this is the real challenge we need to face, because if we have been, there are a lot of studies about communities and process inside the small and big communities, but sometimes, because maybe you experienced it, you work in a theater and you have never been to the museum of your city, or you even don't know the people that are living, working, and making alive the museum, because it's that way, because we always fight for sustainability and for survival. So really, my claim in this period is against the jungle effort. Let's fight for alliance, and let's use this opportunity to have new alliance, but really deep alliance founded about our real needs and our common needs. I'm not sure we are able, because it's something that you need to train on. But I'm used to be really positive, so I'm not stopping to be to be now. And all what we are doing, it's one positive thing is that even if, for example, in Europe we are starting with the phase in which we are starting to work again, so normally webinar or online time should be less frequented, but I see that there are still a lot of people listening each other.
Of
So
course, and we are all
each other. It's a nice moment to be.
Yes, and we are all fighting for the rights of our audience, for children and young people. And it is great that Action of Children's Arts made a proposal or manifesto that refers to UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, Article 31. And now it is in the working process. Lots of artists work on it. Developing it, and we will have something very important, an advocacy document that will fight for rights of children to participate fully in cultural and artistic life, and to have appropriate and equal opportunities for cultural and artistic and recreational and leisure activities. So three of us were active in coffee sessions, so we had the opportunity to read it and to work on it. Bebe, your group, you were in the group one day that were really focused on some of points. So please give us some resumes of that, and let's announce it as something that will be very soon out.
Yes, so this was a document that was sent to us in the EC, in the Executive Committee of ACITEJ, and we were directly fascinated about it, because it's really, as Vicky Ireland, who's the person who sent it to us, told us, it should be in one page, very clear, so everybody could unite in the advocacy for the rights of the children to art and to an artistic experience. Yeah. And my group, this day that you're mentioning, I was with Yvette Adi, who's the president of ACITEJ, and we work in the policies and protocols of the EC. I am in this group with her, and she's a wonderful person to, like she has this incredible mind to detect in a document and articulate. So this was it was fantastic to be in this room with her. So it is about the allies, the alliances that we want to do with every sector of society. So it's political parties, it's national governments, it's the Department of Education, Department of Culture, local authorities. So in each level, how can we, like old-fashioned letters, One thing that we've been asked constantly at the EC, and also at IPE, I have to say, we should take our role as an association that represents globally the professionals of TYA and use it. It is not very easy, being a global association. When you are inside Europe, if you're an European association, you have Creative Europe. As a global, you are kind of everywhere and nowhere. Yeah. It's not very easy to find the place of importance. But so this document, for instance, is something that you can visualize. Everyone that reads it know, arts organization, so here I can do this and I can do that. Yes. And our plan is to identify who are people that want to do working groups around the different, and then really elaborate something that will be very useful.
Yes, and many groups in coffee sessions of ACITEJ were working on it from all over the world, and that's great. And I hope that our governments and state institutions will will feel the importance of what we want to give to our audience, young audiences, and everybody who feels that the importance of performing arts from early age. Believe it or not, we are already talking for some time.
Oh, I believe you completely.
Absolutely.
We can continue doing it after this official meeting. I'm really very grateful for you to take your time and be here with us in Croatia. I know that Bebe is the fan of Croatian coast. Christina, I didn't ask you, have you ever been to Croatia before?
I have. My father was born in Pola.
Oh, great!
I know very well Croatian coast.
We can then, well, let's do it this way. So let's hope for the best. And I'm inviting you to come this summer, really, to this summer, first to Zagreb, and then we will go to Pula and wherever you want to make, we say Gir, that is some touring on Croatian coast, and to toast for.
This is an indecent proposal, Svetlana.
This is a good proposal to step from digital online
yes, of course. So let's make a balance. So after all those months of talking in digital space, it's great, of course, to see your colleagues in physical space. So this is my proposal. It's very honest. So welcome. And thank you everybody who watched this streaming. And I hope we inspired you a little bit. You can also write your questions or thoughts about topics we discussed, and hope that we may be invited new colleagues who will be more active in this international networking
And Svetlana, I'm sure Christina joins me in thank you for this opportunity of coming and sharing these thoughts, and thank you for creating this space. We need to occupy spaces talking about children, arts for children, the right of a child to have contact with art. We need to occupy these spaces, and this is really helping.
Definitely, and every step counts, and the crisis always gives some new opportunities, and always have to, I think people have to look in that way. Christina, you can...
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing that is in the same mood. That is one thing that we are never speaking about, is the fact that we miss our audience and we miss each other. This is something that we are always speaking about the rights of the child, but we are one of the sector, the 2IA mostly. We had a great audience. We had a big and strong relation with our audience. We are missing our audience. So
and that's why we talk a lot about them, because we want to meet them again, of
not
course.
Because we want them to have an experience. We want to share that experience with them. We miss you.
Definitely. So let's end with this thought. See in the theater, see online again in few weeks. We will have new guests, and so stay safe and cheer up. Let's toast. Ciao, ladies.
Ciao.
Bye.